For today's video we're going to take a look at a Laser by Mountfiled 46cm lawnmower powered by a Honda GCV135 engine. At the moment it isn't running correctly. It starts okay but it won't idle smoothly, it just constantly hunts on the governor. It's clear from that the spark is okay and the problem will probably lie with the carburetor or the governor itself. You'll see in a minute that it starts first pull, but it won't keep a constant idle speed. On an initial inspection, the air filter is soaked in oil or old petrol and probably isn't breathing very well, so that'll need replacing. And there seems to be some friction on the governor rod. The spring that's meant to remove slop from the governor rod isn't fitted correctly. It should be fitted round the actual rod as a governor, and instead it's behind it and it's dragging on the crankcase breather pipe. It's unlikely that this spring is the cause of the problem, but I'll refit it correctly and reassemble the machine and give it another test. I'll also try running it without the air filter just to isolate that from the problem as well. So, probably for the first of many times, I'll refit the carburetor, starting with the governor rod and the choke connecting rod. It's all a bit of a fiddle. You have to hold the carb in place, then slide the heat shield into place, and there's another plastic bit between the heat shield and the engine, and then you have to get the air filter surround into place before you can put the bolts through. Once you've got the carb bolted into place, you've got the crankcase breather pipe and the fuel line to fit with your fingertips behind the black plastic air filter housing. I did notice when I first took off the carb that the petrol shut-off switch doesn't work. That might explain why the air filter was soaked in fluid. Probably over the winter petrol's just slightly seeped through the carburetor and soaked into the air filter, leaving it all clogged up. Anyway, having done that little bit of work, I'll reassemble it without the air filter and try starting it again to see if there's any improvement. And as you can see, there isn't. Okay, we've got the carburetor off and onto the workbench, and the first thing that's immediately apparent, if you look at the photographs when the machine first arrived, the heat shield was on this way round. And if I line its bolt holes up, you'll see that the bore of the carb isn't lined up with the heat shield, and you've actually got a gap here, so air can get from this air bleed passageway straight into the main bore of the carb, so that'll definitely lean out the mixture and cause it to run incorrectly. I suspect that probably isn't the only problem, and it might have just been done when the owner took it apart to see if he could find out what was wrong with it, so we'll check the rest of the carb while we're here. I've already had the float chamber off, so I can simply unscrew that by hand and remove that. That's easy enough. And then you've got the pin to get the float itself off. That simply pushes out and the float lifts off, and the actual the needle valve has come with the float, so that's fine, that's retained with the float. The main jet is located down this tube here, and you need a nice straight sided screwdriver to get to that, not one that's shaped like this, because the shoulders will catch on the way down the tube. I've already slackened this and it was quite easy to get out on this carb, so we'll just remove that. It shouldn't take too long. You want to be careful. If these are stuck, you should throw in some easing oil or something like that before you try and unscrew it, because you don't want to damage anything in there. So with a bit of luck the main jet will come out in a second. There we go, one main jet, and that should be followed by the emulsion tube. Might have to give that a teeny little prod from the top, carefully, because the top of it protrudes into the main bore of the carb. So with a bit of luck, be able to press that. Okay, you can actually get a better view of the emulsion tube from the inlet side of the carb, and I can just press onto the shoulder of that, and there we go, one emulsion tube, and make a note of which way it comes out, but the long end is pointing upwards into the carb itself. Well, so far everything's looking squeaky clean. The emulsion tube's really fine, there's no blockages in any of the holes in that, and same with the main jet. So we'll carry on looking. There's an idle speed adjustment screw over here which can come out, because that can just be adjusted appropriately once it's back running, so that's simple enough. And then you've got the slow running jet here. Now this has one of these silly little tabs on it so you can't adjust it. They have a certain purpose in life, because you used to find with old mowers, as soon as they wouldn't start one day, someone would start adjusting all the screws and they'd completely lose the settings, and then the thing wouldn't work at all. And they also stop people setting it too rich and wasting fuel and polluting the atmosphere. But when you come to service them, they're a right pain in the neck. Okay, that's the float chamber back on and all the openings taped up, and I'll now use my Dremel to cut off the tag that stops you removing the slow running jet. Okay, that's the tab cut off. I didn't film that bit because these discs on the Dremel have a tendency to shatter, and you can bet your life it would have gone straight into my lens, and that costs a lot more than replacing one of these carburetors. I'll tidy up the rather rough cut that I've done on this tab once I get the jet out, but before you start unscrewing it, make sure you count how many turns it is so you can reset it to the same position. So, 1, 2, 3.5, 10 3/4, 11, 11 1/4, 11 1/2, 11 1/2 turns. Okay, just one thing left to remove. There's a screw here that gets access to one of the fuel rails, and then we can start cleaning it properly. There we go. So far there's nothing on this carb looking particularly dirty. It actually looks squeaky clean. Usually when they're full of crud you can see it everywhere. And it is possible that all that was wrong was that heat shield that was on the wrong way, letting air get in. Anyway, I'll check through all the actual ports within the carb, and if necessary I'll give it an ultrasonic bath, and then we'll see where we go from there. Okay, that's the carb all cleaned up, and all the ports are working nicely, so I'll start reassembling it. I'll make a new gasket for here, because you can see part of this gasket's sort of broken apart, and then I'll put it back onto the mower and see how it goes. Okay, back in with the fuel rail access screw, and just nip that up, that's good. And then the idle mixture jet, or the slow running jet, whatever you want to call it, 11 1/2. It's back to where it was. And back in with the idle speed screw. That should do for that one. Okay, and back in with the emulsion pipe. Just make sure that's prodded in with something soft, bit of plastic, that'll do. That's in position, and then the main jet goes in next. That's caught the thread, so we can now just screw that into place. And then we'll nip it up. Doesn't want to be too tight, just enough. That should do. Okay, next the float and the needle valve. So the needle valve has a little channel that grips into the float itself, and then it goes pointy end down into the hole, because it's the pointy end that actually shuts off the fuel flow, and then the pivot or spindle, axle, whatever you want to call it, goes through there, and that's just a loose fit like that. And now the float chamber goes back on. Give it a little jiggle, make sure it's seated on the gasket properly, and in with the screw. I'll tighten this up later because I haven't got any spanners in here, and that's the carb reassembled. Okay, here's the old gasket that was broken, and here's the new one that I've just cut, so I can attach that to the heat shield and then get the thing reassembled. Okay, I've got the mower put back together, and while I'm waiting for the replacement air filter to turn up, I'll just give it a quick try to make sure it's now running okay. Yep, it's sounding good, so once the new parts come I can finish it off and that'll be job done. Okay, here's the old fuel tap and here's the replacement one. So we'll just get that installed, which is a little fiddly but it's not too bad. Get it onto the pipes. And then you've got these little springy clippy things that need to go on to keep it on the actual fuel tap. And I've got my trusty brake pipe clamp to stop the fuel coming out of the tank while I'm changing it. So let's just get these clips back in place. Kind of easier said than done. Okay, that's the one on. That's the second one on as well. Let's get the screw back fitted. Okay, one fuel tap fitted. The new air filter hasn't arrived yet, but I've managed to soak the old one in paraffin and flush it out several times and then dry it off, and it seems to be breathing okay now, so that filter will do until the new one arrives. So all that's left to do is a quick test run, and as you can see it's working fine, so I think that's job done. So for a quick recap, the things we've had to do: the spring on the governor rod wasn't fitted correctly. That probably had very little effect on the problem, but we put that right anyway. The crankcase breather pipe wasn't fitted to the air filter assembly when it came. Again, probably not that much of a problem. The fuel tap not working was definitely a problem because I'm pretty sure that's why the air filter had got clogged, because the fuel had leaked through and had congealed in the air filter, causing it to block. And obviously, yes, the air filter needed replacing, or at least cleaning. And then there was the heat shield that was on the wrong way round, causing air to bleed into the engine after the carb. That was definitely a problem. And there was the gasket that needed replacing, which would have caused a little bit of air to bleed through as well. Anyway, I think this video's gone on plenty long enough. If you've enjoyed watching, feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel. There'll be more repairs coming soon. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a future video.